press the bell icon on the YouTube app and never miss another update.
Hello students, welcome back to your social science class. Today we are going to continue and wind up the chapter state government. So we had stopped about understanding the powers of the legislative council. Today we are going to move forward into the next power, that is the administrative power. Now they don't have a lot of power with regard to administration, that is controlling, ruling, administrating. Okay, now if it is a school or a college, there is a management that is taking care of the needs, isn't it? Framing certain things, framing certain rules and regulations, looking after many other things, they are administering. The DC is administering his role. He is under the administration and he is looking after. Here, the legislative council has nothing much with regard to administration, but it can have or ask questions to the ministers. Now, if the ministers don't answer the questions properly, they can suggest the minister's resignation, but they cannot pass a no confidence motion. Now, no confidence motion is, it's like a vote or a statement that is given for one of the ministers who is not functioning properly against his duties. That is, in case, for example, one of the ministers is not functioning or doing his responsibilities properly. At that time, the others, they vote saying that that minister has to stop doing his duty. Okay? Now, why do they vote like that? Because they think he is not fit for that kind of a responsibility. That is why they voted. Here, the Legislative Council cannot give this kind of a vote. That is no confidence motion, but they can only suggest for a minister's resignation. Insist on a minister's resignation, but can't tell them that they have to, or they cannot blame that he is completely unfit. That is administrative powers. Discretionary powers is discretion. That is, I'm using my mind, I'm using certain things, my logic and analytical ability to understand. Now they can conduct discussions and debates on various governmental programs that have been introduced, programs of the government, then policies or decisions, any acts that have been passed. All this can be discussed in the House. And this discussion is in the upper house or the House of Elders. So this kind of a discussion is very serious in nature, very seriously taken of whatever discussion it is being done on, maybe policy, maybe act, maybe any power that is given or certain responsibilities that are there. Anything for that matter, this kind of a discussion in the upper house or the House of Elders is taken very seriously. Next, we are moving on to the state executive. State executive. It has the governor, the chief minister and the council of ministers who are called as the cabinet. So the governor, who is there in the state executive, who execute these laws. We studied the legislature, we are studying the executive, who are executing the laws. The governor, the chief minister and the ministers, that is the cabinet. These form the state executive. Now, the governor is the constitutional head, then the council of ministers with the chief minister, they take the real responsibility of executing or real authority of executing their responsibilities. There, the president is the constitutional head, the prime minister along with his ministers. Here, the governor is the constitutional head and the chief minister along with the other ministers. Now, the governor is fulfilling his responsibility through the other ministers that are there. Every minister is appointed, isn't it? Educational minister, the health minister, women and welfare. Okay, so various other portfolios are there. They are given their duties. The governor exercises his authority or his duty through the appointed officials that are there. Now, the president nominates the governor on the recommendation of the prime minister and the prime minister's cabinet. So, the governor is appointed by the president in recommendation of the prime minister and his cabinet. So, every state is required to have a governor. Sometimes 2-3 states have one governor. Very small states have 2-3 states have one governor, but otherwise one state has one governor who is being appointed by the president on the recommendation of whom? The prime minister along with his cabinet. Then, what are his qualifications and what are the other things that he has to do? Citizen of India is basic. Everywhere it is needed. He should not be less than 35 years of age. Cannot be less than 35 years of age. He should not hold any government, he should not be working in any other government sector which is profitable. He cannot derive profit from any other government sector. Then, he should not be a member of the state legislature or the parliament. He should not be a member. Then, if he is a member of either of these, he must resign from that post when he is being appointed as the governor. So, if he is a member of one of these, he has to resign when he is being appointed as the governor of the state. Now, the term is 5 years, and then he can continue even, see, after the term of 5 years till the next governor is appointed, he can continue to be the governor. It's not that today I finish, it's gone. If somebody is elected before that, then they take office, but in case the successor who has to come, the next governor who has to come takes a little time, then the present serving governor will serve for a little longer till the successor takes forward the duties of the state. Then, the president may look after the duties and responsibilities of the governor whenever he would like to, on the recommendation of the union cabinet members, that is the central cabinet members, before the expiry of his term. Before 5 years, the president can look after whatever he has done on the recommendation of the union cabinet members, the central cabinet members. Then, the governor receives his salaries, his other allowances, other basic benefits that are there, which are fixed by the parliament. Then he resides in his official residence, that is Raj Bhavan. Now, he cannot be questioned at any time or he cannot be prosecuted, just like the president. His actions cannot be questioned or he cannot be prosecuted by any in the court of law. Now, I hope you are trying to get a connection to the lesson union government. Most of the things are the same, but there is president, here it is governor. Chief minister, there is prime minister, here it is chief minister. There it is upper house, the Lok Sabha, the Rajya Sabha. Here it is the Vidhana Parishad and the Vidhana Sabha. Alright, so this is how you make the difference. So if you are making a chart, make the chart for both the lessons together. Now, what are his functions? All the executive powers, whatever is to be executed, belongs to the governor. Whatever is to be executed, whatever has to be done with the laws that are already framed, goes to the governor. Then, the Council of Ministers and the Chief Minister exercise their power in executing these rules, laws, rules, regulations, whatever. Then, the functions of the governor. The first one is executive powers. The governor becomes the executive head. He is the first main member there, and he appoints the ministers on the advice of the chief ministers. He appoints the other ministers, the governor appoints the other ministers based on the recommendation of the chief minister of the state. Then he also has a right to appoint the chairman of the State Public Service Commission. Then the vice chancellors of all universities, all colleges who are coming out of a certain university, isn't it? The vice chancellor is there, VC. He is being appointed by the governor, the vice chancellors in the state, and certain other officials in the government sectors. So that is his executive powers. He is electing the other ministers on the recommendation of the chief minister, the chairman of the State Public Service Commission, the vice chancellors of the universities, and the other officials. Then the legislative powers. Legislative powers is the governor has the power to summon, that is to say something like that, to postpone or to dissolve the assembly. On the advice of whom? On the advice of the chief minister. He can summon something, he can say something, he can postpone something, he can completely dissolve the assembly based on the recommendation given by the chief minister. Then he has the power to nominate one person to the assembly and 1/6 of the members of the legislative council. 1/6 of the members of the legislative council and one member nominated is by the governor. Then he may approve or withhold any bill that is being passed by the legislature. He may approve it or he can withhold it. Then in case he still wants it, he can forward that bill to the president for approval. He can forward the bill to the president for approval. That is legislative powers. Next is financial powers. Now this financial bill cannot be presented in the legislative assembly without the permission of the governor. So the finance bill that is there cannot be presented in the or cannot be sent to the legislative assembly without the permission of the governor. Then the governor has the right to appoint the State Finance Commission and the Planning Commission. State Finance Commission and the Planning Commission. Now all state emergency funds are in his name and funds are taken to deal with emergency in that time like drought, flood, earthquake. So all these state emergency funds are in the name of the governor and those funds are used whenever there is a need for emergency. Whenever there is some kind of a disaster in the state, these kind of relief funds that are there in the name of the governor will be taken out to deal with this certain emergency in the state. Next is the judicial power. Judicial power is the governor has his power. In case sometimes certain punishments are very harsh, the governor can reduce the punishment of the of the convict. Okay, he can pardon them, he can reduce the punishment that is there, he can postpone the punishment, he can change the punishment that is given to the criminal. So he has the judicial power, that is he can postpone the punishment, he can change the punishment, he can pardon them and or reduce the intensity of the punishment. Then in the judiciaries or in the court of law, he appoints the state advocate general and the district judges. So this is in the hand of the governor. Next is discretionary powers. Discretionary is something that I am able to comprehend, something that I am able to think. Okay. Now the governor uses his mind while he is appointing the chief minister of the state when there is no clear majority in the parties. He uses his mind who can be the best chief minister, that is discreet, okay, discreet way of thinking. the governor uses his discretionary powers in order to appoint the chief minister when there is no majority of votes or no clear majority in among whatever is being done in the electoral process. Then he can withhold the bill passed by whom? Passed by the legislature, and send it to the president. Recommend sometimes the president to declare emergency in the state, or can dismiss the cabinet and dissolve the legislative assembly. So what can he do? He can withhold the bill, sometimes can send it to the president and ask him to declare state emergency. He can dissolve the legislative assembly. He can dismiss the cabinet who is there and sometimes declare emergency also. Now, who forms this State Council of Ministers? State Council of Ministers. Now, Council of Ministers are done with the Chief Minister as its head. Their ministers in the Union government, Prime Minister is the head. Here, Cabinet is headed by the Chief Minister of the state. Now, this council who is there, whoever is formed, the ministers who are formed, they assist the governor in doing what? In better functioning of the state, in administrative matters, in administering the state or functioning of the state. And they are responsible to the legislative assembly. They are responsible to whatever is happening in the legislative assembly. Now, the council has certain functions. First one is deciding on government policies. They prepare the state budget that is there and present it in the legislature. They prepare the state budget and present it in the state legislature. Now, they have the right to appoint, not appoint, but suggest to the governor or advise the governor in case or in matters when the governor has to appoint the chairman of the State Public Service Commission, its members, the Lokayukta, okay, all these places where the governor has to appoint the chairman, the Council of Ministers advise him who is best for that post. Then, each minister is responsible for his or her work, his or her portfolio that is being given. Health, maybe sanitation, education, science and technology, sports, whatever. They are responsible for their field, they are responsible for their portfolio that is being assigned to them, and they have to carry on whatever it is. So, efficient working is done when they take their responsibilities seriously. Each department, every department that is there. Now, it has to coordinate, supervise, work together for the efficient administration of the state. That is proper functioning of the state. If I am one minister, you are another minister, somebody else is another minister, can we work all on our own? No, we can't. We have to work hand in hand for the development and the betterment of the state. Then, the chief minister, okay, he is the head of his ministers, isn't it, the chief minister. Now, head of this state government is the chief minister. The constitutional head there is the governor. Now, we have different parties contesting for election, isn't it? Now, one will win, the other will not win. Sometimes they don't get majority of votes, then they merge two parties and then they rule the government. Certain things happen. Now, whatever their success is, depends on the personality or the character of the person contesting to be the chief minister. He or she, whoever it is. The personality, the character, the way you are matters more than which party you belong to. People are likely to see the character. Sometimes people just vote, okay, this is my party, that is your party. But otherwise, there are people who use their discretionary powers in order to vote for the right person, not the party, right? The right person. That is how we can have an efficient government. That is how we can have a government that is functioning properly. Alright? Now, he is the head of the Council of Ministers, the legislature, and the leader of the majority party in the government. Party A has won, so party A is the majority leader, majority party in the group, the government. Now, the chief minister should be a member of any one of the two houses, lower or upper, he must be a member of one of the houses. Then, in that case, even those who are not members of the houses can also become the chief minister. Now, in case he is not a member of one of the houses at that time, within 6 months he has to become a member of one of the houses. Then, what kind of functions does he have? He has the basic function first to decide his team. That is a list of ministers, and then he has to present it to whom? The governor. He has to prepare his list of ministers and then send it to the governor. He gives different portfolios to his ministers. The portfolios are: education is one portfolio, health is one portfolio, sports is another portfolio. Okay, that is what is my department, which department will I be working for, okay, in that way. Now once he is assigned, he can also change the portfolio of the ministers. That is no problem, he can change the portfolios as and when, and then decide for a better functioning of the government. Then he can remove the ministers who are not loyal to the government, he can remove the ministers who are not functioning properly, or who go against any constitutional basis, or those who have any criminal records that are there. Those who have criminal records, those who are going against the Council of Ministers, against what is being laid down as rules and regulations, not performing their duties or not loyal to the government, he can remove them. Then, as the head of the government, he has the right to form proper laws that are there. Formulation of certain policies. He has to formulate certain policies that are needed, much needed for the state at the moment. Look up to what is not being used and benefit the citizens of his state, benefit the people of his state by working out certain policies that are helpful, by working out policies that are much needed for his people. Then, he has the power to coordinate and supervise all the departments. Look after all the departments and look after people, whoever is working in all the other departments. Then, now the Legislative Assembly has a term. Before its expiry date, the Chief Minister has the right to dissolve the Legislative Assembly. The Chief Minister has the right to dissolve the Legislative Assembly before its expiry date. Then, he acts like a link between the governor and the Council of Ministers, like a middleman. He has to present certain things to the governor, he is accountable to the governor, his ministers are accountable to him. Are you figuring that out? Now, Council of Ministers, okay, I will write Council, the Chief Minister and the Governor. So, Councils of Ministers are accountable to the Chief Minister. The Chief Minister is accountable to the Governor because he has to tell certain things to the Governor. The Council of Ministers have to tell certain things to the Chief Minister. The Chief Minister is supervising the Council of Ministers, isn't it? So, he is a link between the Governor and the Council of Ministers. He acts as a link. Now, he also acts as an advisor to the Governor when there is some nomination that has to be done. Like I told you, the chairman, like some nominations that have to be done, the Chief Minister acts as an advisor to the Governor. The Governor also takes his suggestions and then forwards whatever has to be done. So, these are the powers of the or functions and powers of the Chief Minister. Now, we have finished the lesson. We will just brush up with what we studied in the previous class and today's class. I have finished the lesson. This is in the first part of your textbook. Okay. So we studied about the state legislature, the Vidhana Sabha and the Vidhana Parishad, who have different powers. Who has a lot of financial powers? The legislative assembly has a lot of powers, that is the Vidhana Sabha. Vidhana Sabha has a lot of powers with finance. Their term of office is 5 years, Vidhana Parishad is 6 years. Legislative assembly, if you want to become a member, should not be less than 25. No, you should have completed 25. Here you should have completed 30 in the Vidhana Parishad. Assembly, there are 224 members. Here it should not be less than 40. In Karnataka we have 75. Qualifications are laid down. Basic is, see, basic in both citizen of India, should not have any criminal records, should not hold any office which is coming under the government sector which is profitable for them, then should have a certain qualification laid down by the parliament, should be of sound mind and body, alright. Okay, that's it. Then in the Vidhana Parishad, that's the legislative council, members are elected, and then some are elected from different sectors, and the last one, the fifth one, is experts in various fields. So legislative council also has certain powers. Then we studied about how an act is created, the first reading, the second reading and the third reading, and then today we dealt with what is state executive, the governor of the state, how he is being appointed and what are his duties, and then the state council of ministers along with the chief minister. Now students, I don't want you to get confused with the powers and functions. Everywhere the powers and functions, the title may be the same or the side heading may be the same, like executive, legislative, financial, judicial, okay, administrative, discretionary powers. Read the lesson twice. For your better understanding, at least read it twice. Compare it with the lesson union government so that you can take certain things from both the lessons which are alike. Alright, we'll stop at this. In the next class, we'll come up with another lesson. Thank you very much for listening.